Be consistent. That's what everyone says, right? But I have a question for you. What do you do when you cannot be consistent? What do you do when you are consistent and it still doesn't work? What happens after those systems fail? Here is a truth I learned the hard way. Consistency without emotional alignment leads to burnout. Then it leads to self blame. Let's talk more about it. Consistency becomes kind of a religion. We are told that if we miss a day, we have failed. That if we fall off the wagon, we're weak. So we chase perfect streaks and we start confusing discipline with punishment. I once journaled 6 weeks in a row, never missed a thing. But somewhere on day 35, I stopped reflecting. I was just writing, not to break the streak. So it wasn't about growing for me at that point. It was just about maintaining whatever I had. This is what I call the consistency trap. You keep on doing the thing, not because it's helping you, but because you're afraid of what might happen if you stop. But progress does not come from repetition alone. It comes from adaptation, it comes from adjustment, from knowing when to keep going and when to change directions. And speaking of finding the right opportunities, if you are a student looking for scholarships or universities abroad, you need help crafting a standout CV, or you want expert feedback on your motivation letter, I offer personalized consulting services to get you ahead. All for a small fee, you can get expert help. All you have to do is visit my website in the description. There, click on book now and you fill the Google Forms. All the information is embedded in there and I will take care of the rest because I have done this before. Now it's my turn to help you out. So, what actually keeps people consistent long term? That's the big question here. It's these three things. One, emotional regulation. Second, failure recovery. And third, self trust. Picture this, it's the middle of the week. You're sleep deprived, your to do list is longer than your energy levels, and suddenly, the smallest thing, a message, a late task, a missed workout, it breaks your whole rhythm. That creeping urge comes in to scroll, to snack, and to numb out. Most people in this moment do two things. They either power through, masking stress with productivity, or they spiral, collapsing into avoidance, guilt, or shame. But emotional regulation actually gives you a third option. This is very interesting. So, with emotional regulation, you can pause, you'll notice things, and then you can regroup. And here are two ways to go about it. But here is the science. What you're doing here is creating a gap between stimulus and response. And in this gap lies choice. And emotional regulation is the skill of noticing this gap and choosing wisely. Cognitive reappraisal, it's another term for emotional regulation theory, means changing the way you interpret a stressful situation. Let's say you plan to go for like a 45-minute walk or a run after work, but you come home mentally drained. Without emotional regulation, you would either guilt trip yourself into pushing through or abandon the habit completely. But with regulation, you might say, okay, today is a tiring day, but at least let me run for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is enough for the day. Because you realize that this way you're still showing up just with less. You're not being lazy here, you're just being adaptive. So, what would you rather do? Quit it all over because it's too much, or being consistent and doing maybe at least 10%? You're still showing up for yourself. This ability to respond instead of react is the foundation of long term sustainability. Without it, one bad day becomes three, 3 days becomes a week, and weeks turn into months and years of inconsistency. But with emotional regulation, you create your own emotional flexibility. No matter how good your system is, at some point of time, you will fail. And that's not the exception, that's part of the design. So I want you to imagine two people. Person A has gone through 45 days of intense habit doing the same thing he's supposed to do. Very consistent. On day 46, they miss. They feel ashamed, beat themselves up, and don't come back. Person B, they've missed like 12 times in the last 45 days, but each time they return gently. So the question is, over time, who is more consistent? Person B. Every time. This is the skill of failure recovery. Psychologically, what's happening here is a shift in attribution. People who recover well don't see like failure as a personal flaw. They see it as an event, not an identity. They don't think, oh, I'm inconsistent. They think, yesterday was off, it was a bad day, let's begin again. It's the same thing here. I have not been able to consistently upload videos. I used to do that like every other week, but with work, with research, it's too much for me. But today, after 2 weeks, I'm making a video here. But here I am. I bounced back. This is failure recovery. Over time, I realized the faster I forgive myself, the faster I return to being consistent. I ask myself this one question: what is the smallest possible way that I can re enter into my habit again? Tonight, I tell myself, today was weird. I'm still here. That one sentence connected me with the identity I was trying to build. So, do not punish yourself into coming back. Invite yourself gently. Now, let's go one layer deeper. Underneath your emotional regulation and your ability to bounce back from failure, there's one core belief that holds all of them together: self trust. And I don't mean blind confidence. I mean the quiet internal promise that says, no matter how many times I fall off track, I will come back for myself. Because most people think consistency is about control, but real consistency is about returning. And returning takes trust. This is what we call self efficacy, your belief in your abilities to influence outcomes through your actions. And it's not based on perfection, it's built through evidence. Think about this way: if you had a friend who bailed every time things got hard, you'd stop relying on them, right? But if they show up, even if it's imperfect, again and again for you, you would start trusting them more. You are that friend to yourself. Small wins, recovered failures, daily choices. Each time you return after failing, you're casting a vote for the belief that I can count on myself. And building self trust means showing up for yourself in small, doable ways, especially after failure. When I trust myself to return, I don't panic when life gets messy. I don't spiral when I miss a few days, because the question isn't, will I mess up? It's, when I do, will I come back? And every time the answer is yes, consistency becomes less about willpower and more about safety. So maybe we have been asking the wrong question all along. Instead of how do I never miss a day, what if we asked, how do I keep coming back no matter what? What if we redefine consistency not as a frequency, but as your ability to repair the rhythm when it breaks? Because for me, I feel like that's what real consistency is: not rigid repetition, but adaptive resilience. So if you have been beating yourself for not being consistent, you can let that go now. You don't need more control. You need more emotional agility, more gentle re entry, and most importantly, more trust in your ability to return. Because in the end, the people who succeed are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who know how to bounce back from failures. But if you're looking for something that can make you balance your student life like you're running your own business, really, check out this video.